Understanding SST, 504 and SPED. The student study team is often the first step a parent can take when they have a concern about their child's progress in school. The purpose of the SST is to design a support system for students having difficulty in the regular classroom. The SST is a group formed within the school to further examine a student's academic, behavioral and social-emotional progress. The SST team can propose interventions for the student. The team usually consists of a teacher, administrator, and support personnel from the school. Sometimes a special education teacher will also participate to give his or her perspective. The student and parent are also a part of the team. There are many different names for the student study team, including student intervention team. This meeting is different than a parent-teacher conference which focuses on improving communication and addressing specific class problems. The SST meeting provides everyone with an opportunity to share concerns and develop a plan. Either a staff member or parent can make a referral. The interventions agreed upon will vary depending on the child's educational needs. If your child is struggling in school, the SST team tries to determine if it is due to a specific learning disability or another cause such as impaired vision, social problems, physical or psychological issues, medical conditions, language barriers and other issues affecting the child's performance. If the SST team believes that the child could have a specific learning disability, they may recommend a formal special education evaluation. The student study team may also decide to refer your child for a Section 504 evaluation. Here, your child can also receive modifications. A 504 plan is typically used for a child who has a medical condition and requires accommodations in order to achieve academic success. If you do not agree with the recommendations of the SST team, you still have the right to request a formal special education evaluation. Once a school receives your request, they have 60 days to complete the evaluation. Understanding Section 504, the American with Disabilities Act. Section 504 of the Americans with Disabilities Act guarantees that a child with a disability has equal access to an education and that it is comparable to an education provided to those who do not have a disability. Since it is a civil rights law, and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act (IDEA) is an educational law, a child who receives services under 504 does not benefit from the same mandates as a child who receives special education services under IDEA. Modifications and accommodations under 504 usually refer to improving building accessibility, classroom accommodations and curriculum modifications. Section 504 reads, "No otherwise qualified handicapped individual in the United States shall solely, by reason of his handicap, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." This would include public schools. A child with a disability is one who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits major life activities. Major life activities include caring for oneself, performing manual tasks, walking, seeing, hearing, speaking, breathing, learning and working. Examples of disabilities that usually fall under Section 504 instead of IDEA. Children with a normal ability to learn academically, but who have a mobility impairment, use a wheelchair, have a neurological disorder, or are missing a limb. Children with a normal ability to learn academically but who have a medical condition such as epilepsy, hemophilia, diabetes, AIDS, arthritis, allergies, asthma, tuberculosis, ADHD, cancer, spinal bifida and cerebral palsy. A child who has frequent referrals for behavioral problems or is under a doctor's care for a psychological condition such as anxiety or depression. A child may be referred by anyone for a 504 evaluation including a parent, teacher, school employee, or community agency. If the child fails to qualify for special education under IDEA, they may be referred for a 504 evaluation. The evaluation should include classroom observations, performance-based testing, academic assessment, teacher and parent reports, and medical and/or psychological evaluations. If the team determines that the child qualifies for accommodations or modifications, the team is responsible for writing a formal plan. A child can qualify for services under Section 504 only if the disability is shown to substantially limit his or her educational performance. A 504 plan should include specifics on how the modifications or accommodations will be provided and by whom. Name of the person who will be responsible for ensuring that all components of the plan are implemented, case manager. Be distributed to all of the child's teachers, specialists, and support staff. Be placed in the child's cumulative file. Plans should be revised and updated every year, but each district may decide when the plan will be reviewed. The child will be placed in the regular education environment unless it is demonstrated that the student's needs cannot be met in the regular education environment. If this is the case, the child may receive special education services or services from support staff. The referral, assessment, evaluation and placement process should be completed within a reasonable time and should not exceed 60 days. Examples of modifications and accommodations under Section 504. Susan is in a wheelchair. She will be given extra time to get to her classes without being considered tardy or receiving consequences for being late. She will be assigned a specific seating area in the class to accommodate her chair. Austin has diabetes. Twice a day, he will go to the nurse's office in order to check his glucose levels. He will be allowed snacks at times other than lunch if necessary. Kyle has ADHD. He will be given preferential seating in the front of the class, given extra time on writing and homework assignments, and his progress will be monitored by a weekly progress report. Remember, a 504 plan should always state the child's disability and the resulting problem, identify the accommodation or modification that will be used to address the problem, indicate who will be responsible for implementing the modification or accommodation. Indicate the contact person at the school who will be the case manager for the plan. This is often a counselor, administrator or school psychologist. If the plan is not meeting your child's needs, refer them back to the team or to your school's student study team (SST) for additional modifications, or ask for a referral for a special education evaluation. If the child's disability is severe or they have severe ADHD, they may be able to qualify for special education instead of 504 services under the category of Other Health Impaired. What is special education? For special education is a service, not a place. Special education is a broad term used by the law (IDEA) to describe specially designed instruction that meets the unique needs of a child who has a disability. These services are provided by the public school system and are free of charge. Services can include instruction in the classroom, at home, in hospitals and institutions. Learning disabilities cover a wide spectrum of disorders ranging from mild to severe. They can include mental, physical, behavioral and emotional disabilities. There are 13 categories of special education as defined by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act (IDEA). In order to qualify for special education, the IEP team must determine that a child has one of the following: autism, blindness, deafness, emotional disturbance, hearing impairment, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impaired, specific learning disability, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury and visual impairment. In order for the IEP team to qualify a child for services, the student must be found to have one of the 13 categories of special education, and it must adversely affect their educational performance. What is the goal of special education? Special education makes it possible for your child to achieve academic success in the least restrictive environment despite their disability. The federal law governing the system is called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. IDEA entitles all children with learning disabilities to a free appropriate education (FAPE). Examples of appropriate programs include a specific program or class for the student, access to specialists, modifications in the educational program such as curriculum and teaching methods,